Good afternoon. I'd like to call this meeting to order of the Pitt County Department of Social Services Board this Tuesday, May the 10th, 2022. And we're going to open our meeting by observing a moment of silent prayer or silent meditation. So thank you. Okay. So Susan, in terms of the agenda, public comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
make a motion that we accept the agenda as distributed.
Could I have a second, please?
Okay.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Minutes. Need a motion to approve unless there's some additions or revisions.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so moving on our agenda here, we have an item, recognition of new hires and employee of the month. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Frazier here to recognize our new hires. I want to.
Yeah, the new hires are not here, they are in training
Okay.
right now, but we will recognize them
Sure.
for the record. We have Tanisha Alford, Robert Johnson Jr., Mary Taylor, Janelle Wilson. They are not here today.
Well, we look forward, I welcome them, and we look forward for maybe them attending our next meeting, and so we can give them a personal
And for
welcome.
Employee of the Month,
Yes?
Ms. Chandra Milborn was the very first Employee of the Month for Pitt County. We are very blessed to have you. You are a wonderful worker, and your team respects you, and the children you work with respects you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, very nice. Okay, items for report, and I guess I'm gonna turn this over to Dr. Frazier. We have Teen Court, we have a representative
Yes,
of
Team Court. Yeah, you come to the podium. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I didn't expect this type of meeting.
No pressure, no pressure.
So, Teen Court. Teen Court is a diversion program that the Mediation Center of Eastern Carolina, we host that program and manage that program. It's for youths ages 10 through 18. With light offenses, misdemeanors, things like that, fighting, vaping, stealing, marijuana. We have had kids have marijuana usage and things like that, and any kind of cyberbullying or anything like that. You can refer into our program, social services, court services, SROs at the schools, Greenville Police Department. Our program is designed to keep the children out of the system. If you have a fight in school and things like that, the last thing that you might want to do is send them to court, and then they wouldn't be able to apply for college, things like that. It might deter them from getting a job because they have a background. So we're basically their second chance up front. So you refer to our program, we give them life skills classes. We do anger management, and we also do juvenile mediation services. So we do all of those services within the program, and they also do community service. We've partnered with Mr. Beast for their food distribution site. I just took a tour today, and we'll be sending some kids on Saturday to help them with community food distribution, but that's going to be a part of their community service, and it's very important because they need to give back, and they need to see what other people are doing and have that volunteer experience. Also, some of the guys that work over there have said that they would not mind being a mentor. One of them has experience with the Teen Court program, and I told him that would be great for him to tell his experience to some of the kids that come. So that's just one of the sites that we use for community service. We also have them clean up parks. We had them clean up the community around our office, the apartment building. So they went around, they picked up the trash, things like that. It's very important that they learn, but also give them some community service that they're going to say, I promise I'm not going to get in trouble because I don't want to come back and have to do this. But it would be nice if they do come back to volunteer and just do things because they want to. We have court every other Tuesday. It's pretty busy right now, so we're going to have back-to-back court dates. You guys are invited to come. It's an open forum. It's open to the public. We have court the 17th of May and May 24th. Those are going to be jam-packed days because we'll have 6 defendants, so we'll be operating in 2 courtrooms that night. And we begin at 6 p.m. Show up at 5:30 if you would like to come join us or just kind of see what we do. We also do things for the volunteers. So we give the volunteers different type of trainings. We have local attorneys that come and do attorney training for our volunteers so that they can learn how to be a prosecuting attorney and a defense attorney. We have local area judges that come and preside over our proceedings on those Tuesday evenings. We also have clerks and bailiffs that are also teens, and our defendants also have to do a certain amount of hours as a juror, so they can learn the process of the legal system, and then they become a part of the jury of their peers, so they can kind of see it from a different end of it. Am I missing anything? We also do mock trials, so we compete with our teen court volunteers. Some of them are also on the mock trial teams in the high schools. So if you know anybody that's interested in volunteering, we have our volunteers applications open all year round. So we do take volunteers all year round. We do things during the summer as well. We also try to give them resume and resume building skills and also interview skills. Those are just some of the things that we do. Does anybody have any questions?
Of course. Where are your life skills taught?
The life skills, they're taught in our building or Pitt Community College.
Where,
So we're located at 200 Eastbrook Drive, Suite A, and that's in Greenville. We're across from the Martin Pitt Partnership for Kids. And our next life skills class, because I believe we'll have 18 kids in that class, will be held at Pitt Community College. We partner with them for space when it's a lot of children or a big training.
And how long are the youth in your program?
They're in our program approximately 120 days. It should not take longer than that for them to complete life skills, anger management, juvenile mediation services, as well as community service.
and the age is 8 to
From
18?
10, not 8. 8 is a little bit young to truly understand or have this work for them. So it's from 10 to 18.
10.
And are referrals made directly to teen court, or do you make referrals to the mediation center?
Well, teen court is the mediation center, so you would.
Okay, so it's one and the same.
One and the same.
Okay.
Yes.
Do
Thank
you
you.
track these teams?
Yes, so while they're in our program, we also follow up with them at school. So we do a school pop-up, we might call the school counselor, things like that, just to see have they missed school, have they gotten in any trouble. Once they're out of our program, we follow up with court counselors to see what their our recidivism rate would be. So we do check to see, are they a repeat offender? Or did we do a good job and they kind of learned the lesson and they didn't get back in trouble? So yes, we do keep up and track the children.
I'd like to hear about the report on the tracking, the numbers and the count.
We have a 100% non-recidivism rate.
Wonderful.
Say what?
Yes. Oh, we've been doing this for a long time and we are very good at what we do.
100%.
100%.
That is to
Wow.
be proud of.
Can't believe that one.
Yes, we definitely are proud of that. Some days it's a little harder to get through to the kids, but honestly, our whole mission and vision is to help the community resolve conflict peacefully. So we use that, as well as we're all mediators. We're certified in anger management, and I'm certified in child family teams. So we have a lot of resources within our company.
Very good.
Is there a parental component?
So, in Pitt County, no, there is not a parental component because I believe Pitt County already has parenting programs. In our other counties that we have teen court, I also run a parenting program. So, you refer to teen court, and depending on what the charge is, because as you know, this is a family thing, and it needs to be treated 360. We got to treat the whole situation, or else you help this child and he goes back home or she goes back home to the same situation that they left that might have provoked them to do whatever behavior that they did. So we do have a parenting program in other counties, and we refer within the program. So if a child comes to teen court, especially for vaping or marijuana, they got it from somewhere, the parent would go into the parenting program. If your child is extremely aggressive and known to have fights, you're gonna go to parenting program while they go to teen court so we can work it out. And then we do juvenile mediation services where we open up that communication between parent and child, gain that trust again, because usually a trust has been broken on one of the other side, and that's kind of why kids begin to act out as opposed to seeking advice first or trying to think about what they're doing before they do it.
How do they get to they leave the home, how do they get there?
Usually the parent has to bring them because the parent must show up in court with them. The parent has to be accountable as well. So the parent will bring them to court. Now, when it comes to community service, either the parent will drop them off or will provide transportation services.
Interesting.
Very good. Very nice. Other questions? If not, well, we appreciate the work you do, and thanks for coming today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, next on our agenda, I can introduce this, Mr. Dwayne Cooper. Mr. Dwayne Cooper he's the Executive Director of the United Way here in Pitt County, and we're going to hear from Mr. Cooper today.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. So, as Mr. Cox has said, yes, I'm Dwayne Cooper. I'm the Executive Director, in some cases the President of the United Way of Pitt County. And so United Way of Pitt County, for a working definition, we are a community-based, community-led organizations that tackle the issues that are in our community. And we do that, and our mission is to mobilize leadership and resources to build a stronger community. And we do that under 3 pillars. Those pillars would be education, earnings, and essentials. So in the past, you may have heard earnings as workforce development, and you may have heard essentials as basic needs, which would be housing and utilities and rent and that sort of thing. And so what we do is we fund, part of the work we do is we fund agencies, because we do not do direct services at United Way. So we fund agencies that do that work of workforce development, education, and essentials. So for the last couple of years, because of COVID, we have just been funding essentials in our community. So the agencies right now that typically get funding from us fall under that category. And those agencies are the ones that you're real familiar with: Community Crossroads Center, Center for Family Violence and Prevention, Joy Soup Kitchen, Real Crisis, so we can help with those issues. And so those are the agencies, Meals on Wheels. So those are the agencies right now that have received funding from us for the last 2 years. Right now we do a quarterly grant process. A lot of people are familiar with our yearly process or our multi-year process before COVID happened. Once COVID happened, we decided that we needed to go to a quarterly process in order to best serve the agencies that we were serving. And plus we saw a little dip in the raising of the funds, and so we had to do some things to adjust. But the work in the community has not adjusted. We're still doing great work to help the citizens of Pitt County. In addition to funding agencies, United Way also has its own internal programs. We have Dolly Parton Imagination Library. Currently in Pitt County, about 65% of students 0 to 5 are registered in our program. And we also have increased numbers of people outside of our county Imagination Library, thanks to our partnership with VITED. It's because we have a VITED birthing program, and so we register every infant born at VITED into Imagination Library. And so while it has increased our numbers, it certainly has increased the numbers of our neighbors by having that program. We also have our Student Success Academy, which is a grant-funded program. It's a 21st Century grant that they receive and also an Ellis grant that they receive. And that program helps us to have, I think we're in 12 schools right now, serving over 1,000 children every day, giving them in-school or after-school tutoring to prepare them for the EOGs. And so the students that are in this program are chosen strictly by the school district. And so they identify who the schools that need it and the students that need it, and so we go in with that program. So that goes along with our mission of mobilizing leadership and resources. Because everything, while we would love to give funding, financial funding, everything does not need a financial resource. Some things need a human resource. And so we're able to build those partnerships, like I said, with Pitt County Schools, with Vidant, to help with the programs that we do in the community. Again, I mean, that's really it. We work hard every day to ensure that, every dollar is spent. It has been my goal since I became the executive director to make sure United Way has had a footprint in every community in Pitt County. I think a lot of people thought that we were more Greenville-centric, but I'm proud to say that under my leadership, I have been to Bethel, north of the river. I have been to, Grifton and done some great things down there. I have brought on new agencies that before were not getting funding from us. I've been in Grimesland. I have gotten agencies to do things or corporations to do things in the community. One noteworthy, and please, public, don't get mad at me, but Publix recently went and beautified on Grimesland. This is their second year taking on that project of going down. They had painted Grimesland's town hall before. And so, and those are the type of projects that I also bring people in to get done in the community. So again, while people think of us as financial funding, there's also some human resource stuff that can be done to help agencies in the community. And so we're proud to bring together those type of partnerships as well to support our community. Any questions?
Questions for Mr. Cooper?
How does agency apply to receive resources?
Okay,
Any
so
type
with our
of
quarterly grant process, it's quarterly. So the grant process is open right now. So people can apply in our Community Impact Cabinet, which is strictly volunteer. You can go on our website. You would know every member there. And they make the decision for the grant funding. And so people apply. The grants are vetted. We reach out to agencies if we have any additional questions. There's paperwork and stuff that they need to fill out. So it's more than just applying for the grant. They can apply for the grant, but then there's also a vetting process on our end, to make sure that we're being good stewards of the donors' funds and the money that we are taking in. But yeah, so it's a quarterly grant process, and they can just simply go online at uwpcnc.org and fill out a grant application.
Well, thank you, Mr. Cooper.
Thank you.
Appreciate everything that you do.
Appreciate you for having me. Appreciate it.
Okay, next up is Mr. Brian Averett, and he's going to talk about our LEAP and
Good afternoon. I'll start with the Low-Income Household Water Assistance Program. As of April 30th, we had approved benefits of $194,461, and we had funds remaining $196,915. Through April 30th, 429 households were assisted through the Low-Income Household Water Assistance Program. This is still an ongoing program as long as we have funds, so applications are still being accepted for that program. The Low Income Energy Assistance Program, the application period ended March 31st, and now we are in the process of preparing for supplements for households that received an initial LEAP benefit. The Department of Health and Human Services is using the remaining funds for LEAP recipients statewide to issue a one-time flat rate supplement. And in order to fund the supplement, Pitt County received an additional allocation of $325,594. The notices were printed at the state level last week. They are in the process of being mailed to clients. Clients will each get a notice. It will indicate their provider that the benefit is being remitted to, and the amount of the flat rate amount for the supplement is $347.58. This will be a big help to clients statewide and in Pitt County. And the reason the state was able to have such a large supplement at the end of the program this year was because of the pandemic funding that was received for the LEAP program. So this will be a significant help for heating expenses that have been incurred. And I'll be happy to answer any other questions you have about either of the programs.
How does residents who did not get LEAP funding apply for the supplement?
Well, they would not receive the supplement. If somebody needs assistance with cooling now or electric as a result of cooling and is in need of assistance with the utility bill, we would refer them to apply for the crisis intervention program. We still have funds available in that program. And that program assists at the point that a household is going to be disconnected, the service is going to be disconnected, there would be a crisis situation. Also, the water assistance program. The water assistance program still has funds available, and that is helpful to people who are also struggling to pay their utility bills. But as far as the LEAP program, once they close the application period, the supplement goes to those who applied and qualified for it initially.
The crisis situation, what days is it funded?
I'm sorry.
Because what days are people there to assist residents?
The whole, our working hours of 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Applications can be made at the front desk at the Human Services Center. They also can be made online at epass.nc.gov. And they can also call and inquire about an application. So for those who are able to use the internet and have access, they can apply online. They can call us about an application, or they can, if they want to come in, they can be given an application at the customer service desk. And that is an ongoing program.
Is that something the staff at the front desk should know?
Yes, they are
Because when I went
familiar.
out there and asked, we couldn't get anyone on the phone, we couldn't get any person there the day that I showed up.
Well, they are familiar with the program. That program is for you. Crisis intervention program is strictly for utility assistance, crisis for utility assistance. It's not for any other programs like housing or anything like that. It's federal money strictly for a utility bill.
I sent a resident there as well, other than that day that I showed up.
Okay, well, if you
And
could
he
share
could
that
not
with me
see
later,
anybody.
I'll be happy to look into it.
Okay, thank you, I will call
certainly
you.
will.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Any
Thank
questions
you.
for Brian? No? Okay, thank you, Brian. Okay, looks like we're going to hear from our own Susan Boyd here. Shelter and disaster preparation.
One of my additional duties is,
As a sign?
as a sign, is assisting with shelter assignments and getting prepared. So that's how I get to come before you today. So North Carolina General Statute 166A requires all Department of Health and Human Services agencies to handle disaster emergencies, whether it's flooding, snow, hurricane. If they say that there's an emergency, we have to respond. We work in conjunction with the state to open what's called a special needs shelter, which is for those individuals whose physical, emotional, cognitive, and/or medical conditions are such that they, even with help from families or friends, would not be able to minimally meet their basic needs during a 48-hour emergency period. Somebody that has an oxygen tank, somebody in a wheelchair, assigned to a medical bed. Those are the ones that those are examples, or some of the ones for the special medical needs shelter. And that is handled by Cynthia Ross and her adult services staff. The county's emergency management director, we work with them and his team. The emergency medical director is the one who makes the final decision on whether or not to open the shelters. We also work in conjunction with public health to help man these shelters. And the American Red Cross works with us. They provide the shelties, which has the food, the cots, and the forms needed for those that are coming to stay at an emergency shelter. When we are activated, there are 5 primary shelters: Hope Middle School, Aden Middle School, Farmville Middle School, C.M. Epps Middle School, and Welcome Middle School. If it's a large enough disaster or emergency and we have to have additional sheltering spaces, they will go to one of the local high schools depending on which ones are needed. The DSS management team will work with the emergency management team in the Emergency Operations Center Command, which is downstairs in the basement, to help manage the shelters and interact with the American Red Cross. The agency requires all staff to complete the American Red Cross Shelter Fundamentals Training, and we have Red Cross Shelter Manager training every 1 to 2 years, and shelter training for all staff every 3 to 4 years. So once the director decides to open up a shelter, he will notify Red Cross, Public Health Director, and our director. Our director will notify the management team so that we can put the staff on alert. One of the things that I do is I assign staff to all the different shelters, and then once they decide how many shifts are needed, how many days do we have to have it manned, exactly which shelters are we opening, because we may have just 2 shelters open versus all 5. It varies from situation to situation. So once all of that is decided, then I go through and I start assigning who gets to work those particular shifts at that shelter. Once the assignments are finalized, it's sent out to the agency so the staff can begin to prepare for and report to the shelters. The shelter staff are provided with walkie-talkies, cell phones, and a laptop in order to communicate with those working in the EOC. We do use an application that is online called Code Red to communicate with staff once the shelters are activated. I can actually use that to send out messages saying, okay, we're adding another shelter shift. We need you to respond at such and such time, at such and such location, or the disaster didn't last as long, we need to shut down and we're not going to have that last shift. I can do that with this application. The director and/or designee will maintain central command in the EOC with emergency management, public health, and public information office until everything has been shut down. Once the disaster is over, we will work with emergency management and Red Cross to shut down the shelters and locate places and/or resources for those who can't return home yet. One thing to keep in mind is that if, for instance, during some of the hurricanes, we've had people from Wilmington come here to stay. Matthew hit really hard down in Wilmington. They weren't able to return home very quickly, but we were able to help them find places to stay closer back to where they were at. The shelter medical needs could be people coming from the coastal area more so than right here in Pitt County. It's not just Pitt County residents when we do open these emergency shelters. Any questions? Okay. One thing I will add real quick, I almost forgot. The Code Red application is something that you can sign up for on the Pitt County website for the public side. So if there is an emergency, you can get notifications. If utilities down, if there's a gas leak, if a sewer main has exploded, anything along those lines, they can actually send out notifications to you. And they can even do it based on addresses. So if it's only happening in a particular neighborhood, say there's a gas leak in a particular neighborhood, they can send out just to those residents. It doesn't have to be citywide. But they can do it citywide if they need to. So you can go to the Pitt County website. I think it's under the emergency management section, and just look for Code Red.
Very good, Susan. So is this planning year-round? I mean, you just,
Whenever new hires come on, they are automatically assigned. Then if anybody changes their addresses, they're supposed to let me know, because we try to assign them to the shelter that's closest to them. We don't want them going all the way to Farmville if they live over by Aden, unless we absolutely have to. And then we try to do the trainings as needed. The assignments are only done once we start to activate, but we do try to keep up on everything else so that people are prepared and everything's sort of ready to go. The new hires have to do the shelter fundamentals training. A couple of years back, we did everybody with that. 2 years ago, before COVID hit, we did our last shelter training with Red Cross for the managers. It's about time to do another one for all the staff. And the shelter fundamental that new hires have to do shows how to open a shelter, work a shelter, and close a shelter. So even if they've never done it before, they will have an idea of what to expect. The shelter managers are our supervisors and/or staff that have done it for quite a while. So they will not be a newbie coming in trying to show other newbies what to do. They're already experienced.
thank you.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
That's important information. Thank you. Okay, Dr. Frazier was going to talk to us about the 4-day work week pilot.
Let me go to the podium. I am happy to report that we have been authorized to pilot a 4-day work week. I have designed it such that we can pilot this across the river with Brian's unit and Sonia's unit. We are right now working on the 5 modalities in terms of policy, how to take off, what benefits do I get if I call out, those frequently asked questions. Those will be passed on to Florida tomorrow, and next week the pilot will start. We have data set points we are going to collect. Once those are collected, I will break it down and I will report to the board if it was successful or not. If it was, then we can see how we can tweak that to tailor in APS and CPS, how that will be globalized for the agency. If you have any questions, I will answer those.
Is it certain, I want to say department, or units or programs that's in the pilot?
Right now,
So
yes,
that
you
the
have,
public would know.
I'm sorry, you have,
Certain programs or
Correct. so
units.
we have the economic services and the family support unit. Those 2 big programs comprising of 6 and 5 units are going to be piloting this program.
Family services and what?
Economic services,
Thank you.
Any
You're welcome.
questions? Thank you, Dr. Frazier. Okay, moving forward here, we're going to hear again from Dr. Frazier here with his interim director's report.
I am very happy to report that Department of Labor gave us a safety workplace certification for 3 years in a row. I received that on behalf of the agency last week. So that is a testament that DSS has been working and people are noticing what we do. We are happy also to report that the Medicaid processing, we made it again this month. And this time we increased it by 1%. So thank you, Brian, for your hard work, and please let the staff know that the board recognizes their work, and it is very, very appreciated. We are making progress on the status of the vacancies. As of last meeting, we have filled 10 positions. We have currently 41 vacancies. That could be like 43 because we received 1 retirement today and 1 resignation, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. 3 are frozen, 17 are in interviewing, 7 are in advertisement, 2 are awaiting background checks, 8 in screening, and we are doing 4 reclassifications. I spoke with you briefly about the intent of the reclassification that I am working with the county manager. Hopefully that will give us some leverage in taking care of pressing areas within the department. If you have any specific questions, I will answer those.
Dr. Frazier, the job fair that you had,
Oh,
so talk about the outcomes of the job fair.
and the winner was Brian's unit. Brian was the biggest winner for that job fair. Everybody wanted to see Brian. So tell us briefly, Brian, how many people actually came with resumes, and did we hire anybody from that group?
We had approximately 20 people that were interested in the income maintenance positions. We've not hired any yet, but we are in the process of interviewing some in that group. So we've started the interviewing process.
All right. Thank you.
And Dr. Frazier, would you speak just a little bit more about the reclassification?
So reclassification is a new concept that we are looking at together with the county manager. We are hopeful that this process is going to be a little painless for a position that has been vacant at least for 6 months and over. Some positions we have been vacant for nearly 12 months, 14 months. And if they are dormant, we want to reclassify them so that they can be utilized for other departments that are needing staffing. For example, there is a need for a CQI unit. Currently, we do
What's
not
CQI?
continuous quality improvement. So that unit currently do not have any staff. It's brand new. It was advised by the state for us to have this unit based on a couple of reviews that they have had with us. And I think the CQI will be a first level police officer for our own data and for our own work, so that we can police ourselves. So that unit will be manned by some of the staff that are going to be reclassified. Then the county manager has promised that down the line these positions will be replenished based on their numbers. So Susan will be tracking those numbers that we are reclassifying. So maybe after 6 months or 1 year, we'll go back to the county manager for these very positions to be replenished.
Now, these positions that you're talking about reclassifying, are they in the budget?
Yes, ma'am.
The positions that you are gonna change from A to B are in the budget. But
Yes.
The new positions that you're gonna end up with are not.
No.
So say that again, Brian. I didn't quite understand that.
Well, you have to take an existing position and
Correct.
reclassify.
Correct.
So yes, the existing positions are in the budget, they're part of headcount,
Sure.
and we wanna make sure that it's budget neutral.
Correct.
So obviously, you can't take a lower position and reclassify it to a higher position, but we met with Dr. Frazier and his staff and decided that instead of adding the headcount and adding to the number of vacancies, if you have a difficult position to fill, maybe we should reclassify it to attack some of your immediate needs. And I think the CQI team was a
Correct.
state recommendation based on some current issues. So we were gonna look at some positions to reclassify to help move that forward. And then if we get to a point where we are back field, then we would revisit the positions
Yes,
that were reclassified, because obviously there was a need for the positions at one point in time, or they wouldn't be part of headcount.
Correct.
Thank you. Okay, and I see some upcoming events here, Dr. Frazier. We have Foster Care Month next month.
Yes.
This month,
This is actually this month, this April.
and then elder abuse.
Yes,
prevention.
and elder abuse is Cynthia's unit. So she might be able to speak to that next month.
So we'll have activities coming up in
Yes.
terms of that.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions for Dr. Frazier in his report?
I have a question about the reclassification. So, help me to understand that these positions are currently where?
Currently, they are part of the head count of our total staffing capacity. Let's say we have 300 people. Those that are going to be reclassified are part of that capacity, but they are vacant. And they have been vacant for so long that they are not bringing in any productive work or anything added. So we are reclassifying that vacant position to a needy position until such a time that we stabilize, then we can revisit the discussion with the county manager to give us back that position.
Okay, I think what I'm trying to understand is, are they currently in any particular unit?
Yes.
So are they in CPS, APS, family support, economic support?
I have proposed to take one from APS, 3 from income maintenance, and I'm looking at a couple from child welfare.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, that's what I needed to
Yeah.
know. Thank you.
Why are these vacant? You couldn't find personnel to fill them, or what?
Well, right now, across it's a global crunch. We don't have people to hire who are qualified to do the work. Some positions we have advertised 3-4 times, and we get nobody. Sometimes we get the same people whom we are not qualified in the first time, and we continue to still do the same.
So they don't meet
No. they do not.
qualifications
Correct.
of the position?
Correct.
So since they don't have the qualification you need for the position that you're advertising, and you, over the period of time, you're gonna reclassify into some that may be better fit for the new position that the state required.
Correct.
They good for requiring something and don't send the money to come with it.
That is a topic beyond my discussion at this point.
Well, it's true.
Well, I mean, you can say that, I cannot.
Okay, any additional questions for Dr. Frazier?
Mr. Chairman, if I may know what I like for the motion to go into closed session after the meeting.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, we're out of closed session now, and do we have any board member comments?
No, sir, except I would move that we adjourn the meeting.
And if I could have a second?
Second,
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Meeting closed. Thank you.
thank you.